We're not going to get started for another couple of minutes, but if you see empty gaps next to you and you can move along, we've still got quite a few people moving in, so if you have the ability to take up some of those spaces, please do. We're expecting quite a full house. Thank you, guys. Would help if I turn my microphone back on. Hey guys, welcome to Adelaide University and welcome to our first ever open day, second session of the morning. Thank you for joining us bright and early. Luckily the weather is held off for now. My name's Tom, I work here at the university. I am in the Future Students area and I am joined by a range of amazing people to help you learn all about teaching in early childhood specifically. So I will be talking to you for a little bit, but then I'll be handing over to the people that you've come to listen to. But before we dive into any of that, I do want to just take a moment to acknowledge that we meet on the lands of the Kaurna people, the traditional custodians of the Adelaide Plains, and on which a lot of the Adelaide University campuses are built on. But we also have campuses built on the Bangala and on the Boandik people's lands in Mount Gambier and in Whyalla also. So wanted to pay respects to Kaurna, Boandik and Bangala elders past, present and emerging. I'll just jump back a slide. Hopefully everyone's in the right location. This is what you're here to learn about. Perfect, nods. And primary education as well, sorry. Sorry, we've just had some last minute changes to some of the venues, so I'm really happy that you were able to find the space and thank you for shuffling in as well, because it is a little bit smaller than what we were in previously. So hopefully you are all aware, Adelaide University is actually a new university. It is the amalgamation of the University of South Australia and the University of Adelaide, and an opportunity like this doesn't really come along very often at all. It's the biggest merging of any two education institutes in the world, and it is the biggest change to our tertiary sector in about 50 years in Australia, so it's pretty significant. With that comes some really lofty ambitions, and I say lofty, but some of which we've actually already achieved, and the university doesn't open until January. So we're already ranked in the top 1% of universities worldwide by combining and striving for excellence between our combined teaching staff and researchers as well. So we've got some really exciting things already underway and some exciting things to come as well. A large part of that is an opportunity to reflect. So again, this is the biggest change to the sector in 50 years, but with that comes opportunity. And with that opportunity is a chance for us to look at what we've been doing at both institutions and see how we can take the best of both, but also how we can strive for more. So a big part of that is the design of the curriculum around what we refer to as the Adelaide attainment model. And that is really looking at how we can make our curriculum across the board more accessible and how we can make it more achievable for students of all walks of life. So a large part of that is looking at how we can work with people where they're at and also study at your own pace. So there's a variety of ways that you can approach learning in I guess, a more accessible way, but we also understand that sometimes people's education journey is not linear. Maybe you're coming in with a wealth of experience previously, or maybe you're coming only for a little bit of time, but the benefit of studying at a university like Adelaide University is that you get recognised along the way. So if for some reason your education journey only lasts a year or a year and a half, you might actually be able to take something with you, step away, do whatever you need to do, and when you're ready to come back to study, you can pick back up where you've left off without walking away with nothing, which is a really exciting part. Obviously, being a new university, we have got had a real focus on making sure our curriculum is digitally rich as well. So it means that when you are on campus, you are actually having meaningful engagement. So you're not just sitting in a lecture hall listening to someone like myself just talk at you for an hour. When you're on campus, you are doing things that are meaningful and hands-on. So that is a really exciting part of it. Another element of it is the Common Core, but I'll hand over to my academic counterpart to touch on this one.
Hi, I'm Professor Anne-Marie Morgan, and I'm at UniSA, now moving into the new university, so we cover all the education areas. So the Common Core sits in every one of the degrees, but in education it sits there a little bit differently because we have accredited programs that have certain requirements. So we've embedded all of these ideas into our courses. So you won't actually be choosing one of these or several of these. You'll be looking at data within our courses, at AI, about design thinking, etc. Ethical practices are all the way through our courses. First Nations knowledges, we have our own specific courses on those in relation to education and teaching. And intercultural understanding also sits across all of our courses. So it's just managed a little bit differently, but you don't select these, you do the program that's set for you.
Yeah, whereas in programs that have different accreditation requirements or may not have as stringent ones, they're a little bit more free choice where you would have an opportunity to pick one of these topics each year, and they're not necessarily built upon sequentially in the sense of you could do one data knowledges in year one, you could do one AI in year two. You don't have to see them through. They have no prerequisites, if that makes sense. Another exciting part of the move to Adelaide University is to be able to leverage our size. So we're going to be the largest educator of domestic students in the country. With that, we have a lot of really strong industry relationships and opportunities for students. So what this has culminated into is something that's referred to as the Adelaide Academy. This is an extracurricular program that is starting next year. So it is going to roll out in phases. Next year will be a pilot, but effectively it is an opportunity to recognise students that are high achieving or high performing or have the potential to be, and offer them exclusive industry connection opportunities, maybe placements or research projects, as well as advanced coursework. So meaning that you might be able to take on topics that may be a little bit more challenging, but this is in addition to some of the study that you're doing. So it sits a little bit outside of the study plans that we were kind of touching on before. As promised, I was not going to spend all of your time talking to you. We have a fantastic group of people who are going to tell you more about the discipline of study, so I will step back, hand over the very important clicker, and please enjoy the session, guys.
Thank you. Okay, so first of all, we're going to talk about early childhood education and teaching, and then we're going to talk about primary. So I'll talk about early childhood, and my colleague Sian will talk about the primary. We then have a panel of people made up of some students and some of our staff to answer questions that you might have, and we'll put a few questions to them as well. So we offer both a bachelor program and a master's program. So the Bachelor of Teaching in Early Childhood Education focuses on birth to 5 years. It's a 3-year program. It's very play-based and working to the needs of those very young children. As with all bachelor degrees in education, there are 80 days of placement spread across the birth to 3-year-olds, preschool, in that degree. So there are 3 separate placements in that degree, and lots of engagement with sites and centres. What you graduate with is a qualification that's recognised by the body called a CEQA, which is the Australian Children's Education and Care Quality Authority, and that qualifies you to be a teacher in birth to 5, so a fully registered teacher. It's taught on the McGill campus and also Mawson Lakes, and in our regions at Whyalla and Mount Gambier. While it is on campus in the main, there are opportunities for some external classes within the program. You can study part-time or full-time. There are no prerequisites. We don't expect you to come in with assumed knowledge. There are cut-off scores that we would guarantee you an entry with an ATAR score or with AAB for results out of Year 12. What else was I going to say about that?
3 years.
Yeah, I did mention it's 3 years. Oh, I know what I was going to say. If you have already done some qualifications in early childhood, especially if you have done the diploma in early childhood education and care from TAFE or a similar provider, we give you credit into the degree as well, a year's credit. So it makes it a shorter degree as well. Okay, now I'll hand over to Sian.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. So the Bachelor of Primary Honours is for teaching from reception to Year 6, and we have the general core courses that we do, and you also choose a specialism. So some of you might be looking at secondary as well. It's not the same as secondary where they have majors and sub-majors. A specialism is where you just choose one area aligned to the Australian curriculum, and you do a course each year in that specialism, and you stay with the specialism once you've chosen it. So you need to do 4 courses in that specialism area, and you can see there's a really big range of core courses that you can do for your specialism. So it might be health and physical education, it might be the arts, maths or science, and each year you do a course in that specialism. So that's part of it. We also have 80 days of placement that you do, but the Bachelor of Primary is a 4-year degree, and so you do placements each year of that 4-year degree, with the first one just being 5 days. So they increase in increments along the way. And so when you graduate, you're eligible to apply for registration with the Teachers Registration Board as a primary teacher from reception to Year 6. So similar to the early childhood degree, it's on campus, it's offered at both McGill and Mawson Lakes. So some students that live in between both campuses do some courses at McGill and some courses at Mawson Lakes. So all of our courses are apart from the specialisms at this stage, but that might change next year, all of the core courses are available on both campuses, so you can sort of mix and match your courses if you'd like. It is also available at Mount Gambier and Whyalla. And it's, as I said, 4 years full-time, but you can also do it part-time. So you can, do 2 courses, 3 courses, 4 courses a semester. It's up to you what you prefer. And there's similar entry scores, ATAR 80, and then the guaranteed entry scores as well. So similar to the early childhood degree, apart from it being 4 years instead of 3. I think that might be it for me. So I can do this part. So other options in education is that you can do a Bachelor of Secondary, and there is going to be an information session after this one if you're interested or you're not sure what area you want to work in. So that's from Year 7 to Year 12. And then we also have, if you've done an undergraduate degree or if you plan to do an undergraduate degree in something else, you can come back then, or you can come in and do a Masters of Teaching, and we offer those in both early childhood, so primary and secondary. And they are, so the Bachelor of Secondary at this stage is 18 months full-time, and the Bachelor of Early Childhood and Primary is 2 years full-time. So if you've done an undergraduate degree or you want to do an undergraduate degree in a different area, and particularly if you want to go into the secondary masters, and there'll be more information about that, your undergraduate degree should be aligned to what you want to major in if you're going to do a secondary degree. So that's just the difference there. And the Master of Teaching Early Childhood is birth to 8 rather than birth to 5. So it means you can then teach junior primary. So that might be something that you're thinking about as well. I think that's it from us. So we'll head over to the panel session. We've got 2 of our students and 2 of our staff. I think one of the questions I maybe had to start with, I might be going off script here, but I know that Amy and Natalie teach in the primary and early childhood program, but they manage one of the, they work in one of the specialism areas. Did you want to talk a little bit about the English specialism?
I'll just stand up too. Okay, so I've been at UniSA for many, many, many years. I think I started when I was 17 to do the Bachelor of Early Childhood. So I've been around for a while. So I'm part of what they call the English team. It's the language, the reading courses, the literature courses, and there'll be a text production course. So I'm one of the welcome wagons for the first year learning about language course. And I've been teaching in the early years and in the primary. So we do things such as singing, which is really important for little ones. I see there's one in the room. Open, shut them, give a little clap. Yeah. And we look at many languages as well. So not only English, the name has changed to Learning About Language. And we very much welcome First Nations language and information as well. We're learning together from one of my lovely students. She always uses the acronym TEAM. Together, everybody achieves more. So I teach externally as well as the face-to-face classes, and we learn from and with one another. That's part of my philosophy. So we do cover a lot of concepts and content and meta-language, and there will be new vocabulary that you're learning as you go, and my tip is to keep a glossary to stay on top of that. And theory, of course, informs our practice. So we have a lot of fun too. We do a lot of practical Play-Doh, phonic learning, phonological awareness from the singing and rhyme. What else can I add? Are there any questions from the audience for me? Yes?
I was kind of looking, especially for primary and early childhood, are there like courses here in the city, or is it only those ones that you listed? Because you only listed like the Mawson Lakes and whatever the other ones were.
Do you want that?
At the moment, not in the city, yeah. But in the future, we're looking to have city courses as well. Perhaps Natalie would now like to say a few words, and then we'll ask our students as well.
I think with education, it's one of those that you are constantly learning, okay? So you're always finding out new things, not only as a student, but as a staff member. I'm constantly learning, and instilling that in students, that lifelong learning is really, really important. And if you enjoy working with others, it's a really great career too, because you're constantly building relationships with staff, students, with others, with your children in your care, and you're constantly working on understanding where the children are and where the students are, and that's something that I enjoy doing, is working with some of the things that I've done in my classroom and doing that with students, okay, that are education students, because once you're out in the field, you're instilling some of that love of learning with the children in your care. So yeah, it's a great opportunity and very rewarding career, because you're seeing such growth and development in your students, not only in your classroom but as a staff member at university. So lots of lifelong learning. You're constantly giving back to the early childhood field or to the primary field. So yeah, lots of constant learning. Teaching and learning is really exciting. So any questions about the education career? Or
Yeah, so I was more about the degree itself, but like you mentioned that there's, unlike the secondary, it's more of a specialisation, not a major. In like the primary, do you still have like the generalised, a bit more, not so much focus, but a bit more general? Because in primary schools you have one class all the time. You don't have just a maths class, so do you have sort of that generalisation?
so yeah, I was going to say.
Yes, we do all of the curriculum areas. So you'll do courses in maths, science, English, arts, health and PE, HAS. You do all of the areas. So there are curriculum courses that we do in all areas. The specialisation is more just an area of interest that you want to study a little bit more deeply. So you will still be a generalist primary school teacher and teach everything. We do have specialists that teach in the primary, but so maybe having that specialisation gives you those skills if you were interested in. There are limited specialisation jobs, so it's more so that you've got that qualification of a generalist primary teacher. Absolutely.
So I know you mentioned about how you can get different things ticked off from done previous courses. I know you said that for diploma. Does that apply for Cert 3s for the early childhood or not really?
No, you'll need to get to diploma level. Yep.
I was sort of looking at the course and I noticed in the English specialisation there's a creative writing subject. I was wondering if you could switch one of the specialisation courses to an elective?
No, not the way it's set up at the moment. Occasionally there's need to put in a substitute course, but it will have to be approved by the program director to do that.
We do have an elective course in the degree, in the primary degree, so you can choose a course, but we have a list of electives to choose from for that. Yep. I think there was a question.
And there are 2 electives in the early childhood bachelor as well.
We've got about 10 minutes left of the session, so it might be worth introducing our students, and then we can continue on with the questions to make sure. Yeah.
So hi everyone, I'm Alyssa. I'm one of the student ambassadors for UniSA, and I'm also doing the early childhood education birth to 5 course. So it's been good.
And I'm Georgia. I'm in my 4th year of my primary education course. So I'm at the stage where I've got a 2-month placement now, and all my assignments are handed up, and after this 2 months I'm done. So thank you. Look, I think that this degree has equipped me so well. I feel so ready to be out in the classroom. I sort of lie a little bit. I've got one more big assignment that they don't tell you about before you start, but it's basically just to prove that, you know, you have learnt and retained everything and now you're ready to go. And at every stage of the degree, I've had the support from my uni lecturers, and you know, I've asked all the questions that everybody thinks are silly. I'm constantly talking in class and everybody's okay with it. I think it's really important to remember that you're all starting together, and that nobody really knows what's going on in that first month or so when you're starting uni, and that's what, you know, the teachers and the lecturers are there for, to support you with that. They really do help you to achieve everything you need to. And just to follow on from that question about the electives, I was a little bit worried that there wasn't a lot of free choice in the degree. I think that that's something that's highlighted for some people, but it's actually been really lovely to know that me and my peers are all doing everything at the same time. You've got a massive support system that's different to any other degree in that sense. You know, you've all got the same assignment due at the same time, and therefore all the lecturers know what's going on, you all know what's going on, and it's a really good resource.
We'd love you to ask some questions of our students around their placements, around the program. You've heard some of that.
So with placements, were you able to, obviously the huge difference between reception and year 6, were you able to sort of request for a preference, because there's a difference between your placement, you know, observation in your first year as opposed to your final, was it 2-month placement? Is there any choice within that, or is it kind of just like you get what you're given?
It depends on what year. From first year to third year, 1, 2 and 3, you sort of get what you're given, which is, I found, quite helpful because you don't know what you like until you're in there. I was really set on doing upper primary, and then I got given a lower, and then I was really set on doing a lower. And so, you know, you swap in between. In your 4th year, you can request, or at this year, you were able to request early, like reception to year 2, junior primary, or year 3 to year 6. And then, you know, they take it into account, but it is sort of luck of the draw. There's lots of students that they cater for.
They usually do try to vary it, so if you've had an early, like a junior primary, that they... Sorry, if you've had 2 junior primary placements, they make sure your next one is an upper primary. So they do look at all of those factors in our professional experience team.
Another question.
You said you were set on upper primary. Were you set on doing primary, or were you thinking about potentially like middle school before you started?
Before I started, I was thinking about middle school as well. I wasn't sure, but when I started, the degree sort of changed a little bit, like what you'll start with, I suppose. And yeah, I just decided to go for primary, knowing that it's very flexible. If you decide that, oh, maybe primary's not, maybe I am, you know, more passionate about middle school, secondary school, then there's that option as well.
Is there any potential to actually do a degree which allows you to teach from upper primary to lower secondary?
Not at the moment, no. Yes?
Sorry, I'm a registered teacher. I do primary degree and I now work in high school.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Schools are so desperate for teachers. We will,
Yeah.
we will take on some teachers in year 7 to primary.
Yeah, so teacher registration from the foundation year or reception is to be a registered teacher. It doesn't actually say what level you're taught at, so that's an employer relationship that you have. So if somebody's offering people who've done their program in upper primary into the early secondary, that's between, you know, the registered teacher and the school.
My question relates to that a little bit. You've done teaching for secondary. Can you do primary? As well as the courses you were saying that Adelaide doesn't offer.
Middle years, yeah.
In future, if you were to do secondary teaching, would that enable you to get some credit for that prior learning other courses similar for
You could have, yeah.
primary and secondary?
You could do a master's. If you do a bachelor degree, you could then do a master's and you'd get some credit into that as well. Or you approach the employer. I've worked in a lot of schools where we had secondary trained teachers teaching early years. So within the employers, that's up to them, but I'd really recommend you come back and do some additional work. We also have postgraduate education degrees that are graduate certificates, so you can do 4 courses in a particular area like leadership or early childhood or inclusive education, you know, those kinds of things that can help any teacher. And if you have a 4-year teaching degree, you can get, and 2 years experience in schools, you can get a year's advanced standing into a 2-year Masters of Education as well. So there are lots of other options to increase your qualifications.
We've got about 3 minutes left of the session, so we can definitely fit in a few more questions, but we'll probably only be able to take maybe like 2 more. Any that we don't get through, we can certainly still answer. There's plenty of people on campus today to help answer your questions. So
I was just going to add too, we do have students that might, say, start a secondary degree and then decide after first semester they want to do primary. So you can apply to do an internal transfer, and sometimes you do get credit for some of the courses that you've done if you move into the primary, or you might move from the primary into the secondary. So sometimes you don't know until you get in there exactly what you want to do, and that's okay, that's fine.
Specialism question.
yeah.
Arts. Yeah.
Yeah, just because there's a few people watching online, the question was about what you do in the art specialisation.
Yes, so if you go to the hub where everybody will be, they'll have all the details about the different specialisations. But for arts, you do all of the arts areas. So you do work in dance, music, media arts, drama, visual arts, so all of the areas. If it's arts, it encapsulates everything aligned to the Australian curriculum.
Yeah, we probably have time for one more question in the room.
Hi, so I wanted to focus on the master's degree. So, like, if I don't have a bachelor, like, in childhood education or any education field, so how do I get into the master's degree?
Okay, so we talk about alignment with the Australian curriculum. So if you've done a degree in mathematics, then that's aligned. If you've done a degree in science, or you've got 6 good courses in science, that's aligned. So for early childhood, we just need to see an alignment to grant you entry into there. If you're going into the master's secondary, we're very specific about checking what the degree is and how many courses you've done in usually 2 areas.
So it's probably worth staying for the next session on secondary. That will give you more information. Yep.
Which kind of neatly brings us roughly to a close. Sorry, mic's not on. So, as mentioned, there's going to be another session in here momentarily, but for those who are going to be heading out and walking around campus, please make the most of today. There's more information that you can find out at the Education, Media, Humanities Hub on our maths lawns. There's so many people here today to help answer your questions. As mentioned, the secondary education session's in here next, but there's also other open days where you can go visit other campuses like McGill and Mawson Lakes, as we've already touched on, so definitely worth keeping an eye out on that. But please thank the panel for joining us. And I hope you enjoy the rest of Open Days. Thank you.